Hello everyone, my name is Dylan Hamilton, and I am back here again with my Overgrown City Far Cry 5 level that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks now. We've gotten a lot further along into the process. I have actually had playtesters go through and try it out a couple times, and I've gotten feedback based on some of their stuff. Um, One of the other things, as we can notice, is I've already went ahead and placed a lot of like vegetation and worked with textures and all that. I placed a lot of props that would not only help with like the overall looks of the game, but also some of the gameplay aspects, such as like trying to sneak around these angels right here. Like, let's say the player doesn't want to like go run and gun mode; they want to actually have a chance of sneaking around. Here, they do have that chance, and there's like a little pathway that's hidden from most of the view that goes off into this side alley, and here we can still find our little shovel launcher that I so aptly wanted to have in this level. Though this is the basically the only section that I worked on that I put so much detail in so far, I still have to work on a lot of other aspects. As we can see here, I still want to lay out a lot of stuff. I have placed a couple objects around here that I plan on using. I've also worked on this area a bit more, which there is a fair couple of changes that I want to go into. One of the things that I want to go into is for both of my playtesters, I've had two so far, they've had some struggle with this area right here. They would get to this area in the playtest and they would look at the rope, but they didn't have any prior experience with Far Cry 5, so they didn't know what the navigation stuff does, or they didn't have much of an understanding of Far Cry, which typically isn't the target audience I'm going for, but at the same time, any feedback helps, even if it's from the perspective of people who haven't played Far Cry. So it was interesting to see what they thought, but they would get to this part and they wouldn't know what to do, as they like wouldn't look up at this area and just see that there's like a little grapple point because, oh, yeah, it's been doing that. Here's a quick tip for anyone watching. Whenever you have that error where it says AI area not clear, just simply go to the map tools, validation, and it'll tell you. All you have to do is interact with that part, and there it is. Yeah, that was a little trick that took me a little bit to realize, because before I didn't know that was a thing, and whenever it showed that warning sign, I had to go through and go through all the stuff that I've already placed in and figure out what was messing with the navigation mesh. But anyways, back to what I was doing. So they would get to this part and they wouldn't look up. They would just simply look at the rope, look around, try to find anything around to do, and they would even like actually walk back out to see if there was anything that they missed out here. So I have actually thought of a couple different ways of how I wanted to kind of fix this. One like the first idea that I had is having like a subtle sign that kind of pointed upwards. Another idea that I had was trying to mess with the scripting a little bit. I do apologize if you hear my dog in the background, but I wanted to have a little trigger. Place a little trigger volume right here. Let me get into the editor so I can point it out a little bit more. So that when the player either comes into here or they look in this general direction, it would spawn an AI up here that would fall basically to his death and act as like a little, not really cutscene, but like a triggered event that would happen that the player is supposed to look at and see that there's something up there. And in order to kind of get them to look in that general direction, I wanted to do something a little tricky where I would have a crow perched on a box right here. And it would do an animation where it's flapping its wings, having some sound and some motion to grab the player's attention. And in this way, the player will be looking here, and as they enter this area or use the trigger where they just look in that general direction, it would trigger the event, and they would see the person basically falling to their death, and that would it potentially get them to look upwards and see that there's a grapple point up there and all that. But I was having a lot of struggle with the scripting and the triggers and all that, so I inevitably scrapped that little side project. But I did come up with another way that I still have to put through some playtesting, and as you can see, I need to set up a bit more. But I've created this little ledge right here. And so what the player does is when they come up here, they'll come up and ideally have an understanding that you can climb some stuff in Far Cry. But when they come up here, they can look up, and out of the corner of their eye, they can see that. So they can climb up. And when they get up here, they would have already seen that. Another way I kind of want to reinforce that idea is having another block right up there. So you can climb up this ledge and then look up, just to try to find another ledge to climb up to, and then you look up and you see that grapple. But going forward, next section, both of my playtests have also pointed out that due to the lack of things a little lagging a bit, but oh no, that's not good. Technical difficulties. Do apologize for that. Okay. Should be good. But, so both of my playtesters have mentioned that because there's the lack of a lot of set design and all this other stuff, it's quite hard to get to this area or fight through this area because there wasn't much cover. So one thing that I wanted to change about that was this little section right here, because I didn't really like it initially how it was just in the open and there were just invisible walls right there and made it easy for the player to jump down. So I wanted to change that a bit, and I will show that back in the editor, where I repositioned the invisible walls and added them right on top of these little railings right here. So that it provides cover from any enemy that's on this side, and if the player's on this side, they can just hide around here. Oh, that's weird. Okay, that's strange. But anyways, getting back into the thing, let's hope that doesn't happen again. So, it also just adds more visually to the base, in my opinion. And it also, let's say the players have gotten through that entire area, got up here, and even fought through this entire situation. And if they accidentally fall, well, they're going to fall to their death, and you're going to have to start all over, which they might not enjoy. So this was just something that I tried to fix and try to make it look more visually pleasing as well as help more in gameplay. But I've also discovered that I could, or not discovered, I have observed what other people have done in the Far Cry level editor, because I've actually discovered that that's a thing where you can actually look through other people's levels. But a lot of people tend to repurpose a lot of assets that typically you wouldn't think of putting here, and they would repurpose it to make it look like something else. So I figured I might want to try to do that with places such as like these bases and all that, and use like these wooden platforms to create like a little housing area, and even have like little walls so that way we can see like the bedroom and have a bunch of these sleeping bags rolled around. Make it look like that the raiders actually live on here instead of just just sitting up here and just chilling. They actually live up here. They do their things up here. They treat it as it's like a permanent base, or a makeshift base, not permanent but makeshift. But keeping that down, I have also discovered a little thing with these spawners. So previously, as you can see in like the top left section, there's like the Wave 1 AI, and that used to be full back when I was showing off the previous updates to the levels. I have actually figured out, while observing other levels, that you can add in spawners for Wave 2. And what these do is these take away the percentage of Wave 1, and they have like a trigger function. These particular ones, they trigger once one entity has been killed, or one enemy has been killed. And once that happens, they all, these guys over here that we can see with like the squares over here with the symbols, they all then spawn. So I can still have the enemies while simultaneously freeing up a lot of that Wave 1 AI space and making it more engaging for the player. But I did have it to where at least one thing needs to be killed, because this section right here, it has a couple more of these angels that I put in since I freed up more space. So I put in a few more angels in this section, and I think one more over here. But you could actually get past this area without killing anything. And same thing over here. You could just the players can just simply run past. It's when they get all the way up here is when they're actually going to be faced with conflict. It's going to be a more closed-in section with a lot more enemies up here. Well, enemies with guns, so if they actually see the player's going to have to engage. Or at least try to run, but since it's a more closed-off section, ideally they would be engaging with these, and so they would have to at least kill one thing at this point. And that would then trigger everything else. So that was my idea with that little section right there. I still need to do more playtesting with that function, but so far with the playtest, that has actually been worked out. So far so good. Even when the playtesters have just simply ran through this section, they did have to inevitably fight in this area. So other than that, I have also been working a little bit more on like the textures and like the vegetation. So if I can zoom out up here, we can see that I've painted a bit more of like the dirt, make it look like the concrete has been, or the asphalt has been broken up and covered with dirt, so it allows these plants to flourish, grow and flourish and all that. A bunch more cars for cover, so the player can try to sneak around if they want to. I do plan on adding, or with all these buildings, I will be like taking these and moving them around. So I'll do like a little demonstration of how that would look right here. So I'll just be covering a lot of these buildings with this the greenery, like vines and stuff like that. So that's not it. They can be a little tricky, to grab onto sometimes, especially with the controller. So I try my best with what I have. It's just sometimes it takes a little bit longer since it can be a little bit sensitive. There we go. So as you can see, we then grab that one and then position it right up against these buildings. There we go. And it's just going to be similar to that all throughout. And I'm even going to put like smaller vines all the way along here. As you can see, I've done around here. I can take this and just simply place them around different sections. I do have a couple others that I could use, such as this. I believe actually that's one of the... I don't think so. I can actually go through and place this one as well. That one's going to be a little bit more big, so we might want to place it along here. Here we go. So I did validate go through the process of validating this. So as of right now, it has been published to the online Far Cry database or whatever. It's been published out there, so you can go play it. Though I haven't published most of the changes, so it's still going to be a lot of like the bare buildings and all that. It's not going to be very much fun or look any pretty if you go play it now, but it is out there. So, but it's see if there's anything else. I have worked a bit more with with the vegetation. One thing that I have done is I've picked out a handful of like the vegetation slots, though all the trees that I've been using have just been like the custom assets that I've grabbed from the shop. And that is because if you just go through the vegetation, like paint it out, so we go over here, you can paint it out, but trees are not going to be placed exactly where you want them to be, so they could actually be in a very inconvenient area. So like if there's like a bunch of cars right there, all that. So I just went ahead and I'm individually placing a lot of these trees, as well as a lot of the bushes. So like what we could see, actually I should have some over there. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, and that's just the weird way that I set this up. So I could take this bush and just say if I want to start populating this area right here, just start placing them around. And just to make it, like, let's say there's going to be multiple in this area, I could just, here we go, rotate it and be done with that. But yeah, other than that, I've gone ahead and placed a lot of individual assets that I want to use in these levels. So like for example, I'll be using this one and just like placing it around here. Oh, another quick thing now I mentioned, with playtest, I've also made it to where you could, like, this guy is marked permanently from when you start the game. So do like a little bit of playtest here. What we've all been waiting for. So we go out here, and there's not much in set design, but So since they're all right there. Whoop. And that is where I need to improve on my archery skills. But so now that another thing that I've noticed, because I have experimented with placing zombies instead of the angels. Zombies don't have much of like a range kind of thing, whereas these guys will just pick up rocks. So but yeah, I even went ahead and added in some decals. Oh, that got me caught. But coming all the way up here. Yep. Oh. Oop. That's close. So, a lot of the stuff that I've added so far has already proven just to be a little bit more helpful, but I am not quite done there yet. So, there we go. Take a bunch of this ammo. Oop. That was weird. That hasn't happened before. But yeah, there's still... Don't mind me using a shotgun for long range. Huge. What the? Huh. Oh, that reminds me. My handy dandy shovels. There we go. And I did end up moving the waypoint right out here. Because it's just easier for right now to make it to where it's like right in front of this thing. So, I moved that, eliminated all targets, and so far, that has been the level that I've worked on this week. I do plan on adding more to make it a bit more polished and more functional. But, as of right now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.